Now we had episode 3 of the HBO series The Outsider dropped on the past Sunday. Did you enjoy it? Comment and let me know. Let's get the formality out of the way first. My video series about this show is not meant to tell you what happened from the Stephen King's book, but instead, I'm making my best educated guess based on what's shown up until this point in the show. So it is really meant to be only partial spoiler. After all, I want everybody to actually enjoy the show and not get fully spoiled from the start. In this episode, the GBI, or the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, was alerted to the rural barn house where Frankie Peterson's murder suspect left the outfit worn on the day of the murder. Detective Eunice is seen leading the evidence collection effort. Meanwhile, Detective Anderson continued to search for clues about the murder case while on paid leave. By running a search against Terrie Maitland's father in the National Criminal Database, it is discovered that he was arrested for aggravated assault back in 1985. Could he be patient zero, or in other words, one of the earliest person who was mind-controlled by the evil spirit guy? Jack Hoskins, the other local detective, was assigned the task to drive to the remote barn to take a look at the evidence collected to the now deceased Terrie Maitland. Jack, however, instead of driving to the location to take a look at the evidence, spent a good part of the day in the strip club ran by Mr. Bolton. By the time he eventually got to the remote barn, it is already pitch black. The camera then cut to the surrounding land, showing that it is some kind of burial ground. Jack, while searching in the barn with a flashlight, saw a ghostly figure and is subsequently seen badly hurt by the ghostly figure on the back of his neck. The ghostly figure, if you take a closer look at the video footage, is actually the hooded strange man that we saw on the last episode at the courthouse and outside the Peterson house. In a local diner, GBI agent Eunice shared the forensic finding in the lab for the evidence collected on the remote barn with Detective Peterson. He singled out the horse head belt buckle as the most significant and confusing finding, as there is a piece of fingerprint that matches the fingerprint collected from Terrie Maitland himself separately, although faded. By faded, he meant the fingerprint is likely from someone who is 80 or 90 years old. In other words, an ancient version of the young Terrie Maitland's fingerprint. This faded piece of fingerprint was also found from the van that was used to abduct Frankie Peterson. In need of help to decipher all this new information collected, Detective Anderson proposed to bring in Terrie's lawyer Howie and his personal PI Alec to help backtracing exactly what happened to Terrie's vacation and the van. PI Alec had a person in mind who he believed is better than anybody in this backtracing job. And this person is Howie Gibney. Howie Gibney is kind of unique in that she is socially awkward, but has incredible long-term memory and sharp instinct about human intentions. So Alec and Detective Anderson flew down to Chicago to meet with Howie in her favorite bar. From the conversation between the three, we learn more about Howie's unique struggle, about the basic day-to-day living but we also had a glimpse into her unique ability with long-term memory. The two passed on information related to the name, address of the hotel where the Maitland stayed during their vacation in Dayton, and the hospital information where the grandpa stayed. Having been told by the mysterious figure who Jessa said to have met 4 times in her bedroom to pass on an information to Detective Anderson. In the subsequent day, Detective Anderson and his wife Gibney came to the Maitland's house to talk to Jessa. In the conversation, we learned that the mysterious man told Jessa that if she would to tell Anderson to give up on investigating the case further, he would not return no more. We also learned that the encounter of the mysterious man and Jessa has been different between the 4 times so far. The first 2 times, the mysterious man resembles her dad, Terrie Maitland, with differing degree of clarity in the face. The time period of these first 2 encounters presumably coincides with the time period when Terrie Maitland's doppelganger was carrying out the murder of Frankie Peterson. Jessa mentioned that the 3rd time she saw the mysterious man, his face is blurry, presumably meaning he is in between possession of another person. Then we know that Jack had an encounter with the evil hooded figure recently in the barn, and he was subsequently seen hurt by the evil hooded person and is beholden to him for some reason. It's around this time that Jessa met the mysterious hooded man again, and he somewhat resembles the strong-bodied Jack. Howie Gibney, the hired investigator, paid a visit to the location where the van was known to have parked, by the barbecue restaurant, in front of the baseball card collection shop, as mentioned by the car theft kid, who currently was put in a foster home in Chattanooga, Tennessee. She also got accidental information from the hospital clerk that Terrie's father, Pete Maitland, has been recently questioned by reporters and detectives about another investigation. After doing some research on her laptop, Holly found out that a hospital worker from where Pete Maitland is put recently was arrested regarding 2 girls murdered in 5 Rivers Park. The episode seems to suggest that this male hospital worker could be the nurse that was seen left Terrie Maitland with a cut because of the hospital visit by their daughter, Maya. Throughout this episode, there was a series scene shot in parallel with the normal story progression regarding this arrested hospital worker. He seems to know what's coming for him, as we saw him preparing a sharp object from his prescription glasses. I guess being labeled a child killer in prison is almost like a death sentence in some states, as the prison guard would work with some inmates to get rid of him. Remember when Terrie Maitland was arrested in prison that first night, he was confronted by another inmate who wanted to hurt him badly, because this other inmate calls him a child killer. This hospital worker ended up killing himself before the other inmate was able to get to him. The episode ends with a scene with Jack, who is suffering with the bad injury on the back of his neck, confessing to someone about he will do whatever is needed to get rid of the pain. Could this be the way that this evil spirit figure, has been able to command these people to commit murders? Maybe Jack will be instructed to kill Detective Anderson, since the evil figure wants Detective Anderson to stop investigating this case further. One thing that's worth mentioning is that Jack got in this position because, as we're seeing, that he has a very troubled personal life, and had he arrived at the barn earlier in the day, while the other GBI agents were still around, he probably wouldn't encounter with the evil spirit guy alone in the first place. So is the evil spirit figure only targets those who had a deserving troubled past? Now, I hope my analysis video have made your viewing experience a little bit more pleasant. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.